Hello, my name is Rebecca Hockaday, and this is my Interpersonal Communications project for Liberty University for class HSCO 508. Slide. In this presentation, I will define communication, define enlarging the conversation for me, what that means, identify an overarching goal for my life. I will describe how my behavioral blend and background have influenced my conversation, identify and provide solutions to noise pollution, and identify my plan of action for making my communication goals a reality in my life. Slide. What is communication? According to Catherine Reeves, the highest level of communication is communion. That balanced and sensitive process of giving and receiving by which we truly make ourselves known to one another. Speech is a joint game between the talker and the listener against the forces of confusion. Unless both make the effort, interpersonal communication is quite hopeless. And that's Norbert Weiner. Slide. My overarching goal for my life. My overarching goal is to be in continuous process of learning how to communicate like Christ, to always be teachable and ready to learn about myself and the areas that I need to improve in. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. I want to be a reflection of Christ to those who are hurting and learn how to really listen to them so that they know they have been heard. Slide. Enlarging the conversation is an effort to learn everything that I am able to learn about the person I am in contact with. Understanding them by listening actively and seeking to be a level 1 listener, which is the highest level of listening, as Burley Allen speaks of. Stewart describes perceiving and listening as inhaling, while exhaling is disclosing and expressing. Staying present in any situation, observing and listening without judgment. Next slide. My background. I grew up in a family where verbal communication was very reserved. I learned my way of communicating from my family, and my family learned their way of communicating from their family. So it doesn't do any good to blame them for the way that I communicated, but my way of communication was always, I really didn't communicate. I didn't know how to communicate because my family was, they didn't talk about their feelings at all. Our family moved around quite a bit, which made it very difficult because I didn't form very close relationships. So the last few years of my life, after I really realized the problems that I was having with communication, became devoted to learning how to communicate. Next slide. The different behavioral blends. There are actually 4 different personality types in all of humanity, in the whole human race. And those 4 personality types are D, which is active and task-oriented, directing and driving and demanding. And then there's an I personality type, which is active, people-oriented, and they are inspiring and influencing and inducing. And then there's S personality type, which is passive, people-oriented. And these kinds of people are steady, stable, and shy. There's a C personality type, which is passive, task-oriented. And they are competent and calculating and compliant. Next slide. The behavioral blends are usually made up of one or two or three different personality types. My particular personality type on the graph 1, which is what is expected of me, and that's when I'm in a public place or at work. And my type at work is DS or SD, and I am dominant and submissive at the same time. I think people expect me to have a lot of drive and determination. I have a lot of stick-to-itness. I also have patience and sensitivity. I tend to be supportive as a servant type. Next slide. Now my graph 2 behavioral blend, and this is me when I'm more comfortable, when I'm at home with my family or with friends. And this is an SC or a CS personality type. I don't often express my feelings openly, which is what I tend to do. I am a people-oriented person, but I prefer one-on-one. I like being behind the scenes. I'm not aggressive or assertive. I'm not pushy or bossy, or I can sometimes be a perfectionist if things don't make sense to me. Next slide. Now on the Queendom communication skills test, I scored an insightfulness very high at a 90 out of 100. My other skills such as listening, assertiveness, and verbal expressions were 50 and below. I can see and understand what's going on, but I have an inability to effectively express myself at times. Next slide. All of this means to me that I have a difficult time with listening and expressing myself, as I just said, because of the way I was raised and I didn't learn to communicate. God has given me the gift of discernment. I have compassion for others, which I believe is also a gift from God. I have the ability, according to my personality blend in Carmenel's book, to be as soft as velvet and as tough as nails. I recognize that this is accurate and very helpful in the work that I do with addicts. Next slide. The barriers in my work are, I work with a lot of diverse personalities as far as the coworkers that I work with. I have diverse personalities and clients that I have to work with every day, and working with clients from abusive backgrounds. Next slide. Dealing with those barriers. In Peterson's book, which is the one book in the class that I really identified with, I can become flat-brained because of my lack of communication skills, and I can cause others to become flat-brained. So being aware of that is very important. Listening to clients who are almost always flat-brained is very important, making them know that they're heard. And I would like to learn the personalities of my coworkers so that I can communicate better with them on their level. Next slide. Internal noise pollution and external noise pollution. There's lots of things, noises like cell phones, computers, office phones, all of that. There's internal noise pollution, thinking about what I need to do and responding to clients and coworkers. Next slide. The things that I can do about those are to turn off all of those phones and things like that. And just when I have clients in my office, I need to turn on my noise machine so that I don't hear all the outside noise. Next slide. And my plan of action. I plan on reading all of the books and that I went through in the class, in particular the Why Don't We Listen Better. I also plan to teach some of the materials because when we teach things, we tend to learn it better. And I plan on, let's see, people people are wounded in relationships and have to be in relationships to be healed. And James 5:16 says, confess your sins to one another and pray for each other that you might be healed. And I believe that to be true. Thank you.